If you manage a hospital today, you already know the squeeze. You are managing an overwhelming volume of patients, while simultaneously fighting to secure their trust and land premium insurance empanelments. This operational pressure is driving the rapid evolution of national healthcare standards. Since 2006, the required baseline of care has steadily increased, culminating in the highly detailed requirements of the new NABH 6th edition. It forces a difficult operational choice. Committing to formal accreditation opens the door to major insurance networks, but it demands a massive redirection of your financial and human resources to get there. Looking at this split-screen diagram, you can see how a chaotic, unaccredited operations list on the left, plagued by unclear protocols and insurance rejections, needs to morph into a structured checklist. That checklist forces you down two distinct paths: local dominance through NABH, or global reach through JCI. The local dominance pillar is your domestic workhorse, designed specifically to align with local healthcare infrastructure and meet exact compliance demands of domestic insurance providers. The global reach pillar is built for a completely different demographic. JCI accreditation targets the lucrative international medical tourism market. If both of those full accreditations are out of reach for your current facility, there is a baseline alternative: NABH entry level. It offers a faster, cheaper path to basic compliance. The trade-off is that you gain less reputational prestige, and you will likely still fall short of the specific requirements for top-tier corporate insurance panels. Conversely, committing to full accreditation, whether NABH 6th edition or JCI, requires bringing your day-to-day clinical operations to a near standstill to completely overhaul your internal processes. Grounded, an accreditation tier dictates where every rupee of your capital and every hour of your staff's focus will go. It is the primary strategic filter for your entire operation. To make that allocation decision, you need to look at the structural density of the new NABH 6th edition. It requires navigating 4 distinct levels of compliance and an exhaustive 639 objective elements, or OEs. Those 639 elements mandate deep, specific safety protocols, but they are written with an understanding of the realities and constraints of local healthcare infrastructure. Then there is JCI, the heavyweight international competitor to NABH. This comparison matrix breaks down exactly how these two standards stack up across key executive metrics. We're looking at safety criteria rigor, infrastructure requirements, cost of implementation, and primary ROI. Looking at the safety rigor row, NABH focuses on intense, localized standards. JCI demands adherence to a globally recognized gold standard of care. Moving down to infrastructure requirements and cost, the dollar signs clarify the divide. JCI frequently demands exponential financial investment, up to and including complete facility redesigns. NABH is highly demanding, but it is usually manageable within your existing structural framework. Down at the primary ROI row, the choice is absolute. You are choosing between domestic market capture and international prestige. The strategic limitation of NABH is direct. It lacks the necessary global recognition required to pull lucrative international medical tourists away from your JCI-accredited competitors. But JCI carries a massive strategic risk. If your hospital primarily serves domestic patients, the extreme rigor and cost of JCI are severe overkill. It will compress your profit margins without adding proportional revenue. This evaluation dictates what kind of facility you are building: a domestic healthcare fortress or an international medical destination. Once you pick a standard, the actionable reality of implementation begins. Step 1 is literal: navigating to the Quality Council of India website and downloading the massive NABH 6th edition guidelines. The first major operational hurdle hits immediately after. You must form a core internal committee to spearhead the entire compliance effort. This organizational chart shows exactly who gets drafted. The Central Core Committee must branch down into 3 essential roles: the medical superintendent, the quality head, and your individual department heads. The medical superintendent sits at the top of this structure, holding ultimate authority and carrying the overarching accountability for the hospital's compliance. Below them, the quality head and the department heads are tasked with taking hundreds of pages of guidelines and translating them into actual daily practices on their respective floors. The operational trade-off here is severe. Centralizing accountability means pulling your highest paid, most critical clinical talent away from patient care, burying them in prolonged, high-friction administrative documentation for months. With the committee in place, the next mandatory step is conducting initial awareness sessions for the entire hospital staff. The scope of these sessions is massive. Everyone in the building must participate, from the overnight cleaning crews up to the chief surgeons. In the short term, this causes significant operational slowdowns. You will face intense staff resistance as you force people to abandon familiar routines and adopt new, rigid documentation habits. Over the long term, these painful initial steps are what ensure comprehensive, facility-wide compliance. They force a permanent shift in your organization's safety culture. Enduring that administrative burden eventually yields a tangible result, the official accreditation certificate mounted on your wall. The severe operational friction and staff burnout you experience during implementation are simply the required prices paid for a standardized, marketable culture of quality. As an executive, you are facing a closing window for this decision. With national standards and insurance requirements tightening every year, the space for unaccredited facilities to operate profitably is shrinking. Delaying this expenditure creates a structural disadvantage. As more insurers prioritize accredited partners, your facility loses access to the high-margin patient segments that your competitors are now built to serve. To manage this transition, let's look at a final decision framework to guide you to the optimal standard based on your primary strategic goals. This flowchart maps the process. The very first question you have to answer is, what is your primary strategic goal? That forces a branch between local insurance and trust and international medical tourism. If you prioritize local insurance and trust, and your facility falls under the under 50 beds or low budget category, we follow this leftward path. That path leads straight to NABH entry level. It matches resource-constrained regional hospitals that need rapid, basic compliance without a massive capital outlay. If you prioritize local insurance but fall under the 50-plus beds or high-budget node, we trace the adjacent path. That path lands on full NABH 6th edition. It maximizes your local market capture, provided your hospital can endure a grueling 12 to 18-month internal overhaul to achieve it. Finally, if we trace the alternate main branch for international medical tourism, the result is JCI. This route is strictly for corporate, metro-based hospitals willing to sustain a permanent, high-cost compliance infrastructure. All three tiers genuinely elevate patient safety. But your hospital's ultimate success depends entirely on aligning your chosen accreditation standard directly with your real financial bandwidths and your actual target market.